Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mass Retirees Weekly Update. Today's Friday, July 19th. I'm Sean Duhamel. Thank you so much for joining with us and tuning in again this week. Now we're coming to you a little bit later than normal with some major and very exciting breaking news. Just late yesterday evening, the House and Senate Budget Conference Committee released the final conference committee version or report of the fiscal year 25 state budget. Contained within the conference committee report are several major items that are extremely important to public retirees, extremely important to our association, and I am thrilled to be able to share some really good news with all of you. So first and foremost, the final version of the budget, which is being enacted by the House and Senate this afternoon. As I'm recording this video, a little bit after 1 o'clock, the House debate is underway. The budget should be on Governor Healey's desk by the end of business today. She then has 10 days in which to act, which would take it into the final few days of July. And of course, this year being an even year, it's the final year of the two-year legislative cycle. The formal legislative session ends on July 31st. So this is coming right down to the wire, but as I started to say, this is some really good and exciting news, and I'm thrilled to be able to share it with all of you. So first and foremost, our association's proposal to create a special commission on the state and teacher COLA has been approved in the final version of the budget. That COLA commission, we believe, is essential to finding a viable path forward to finally being able to increase not only the COLA base for state and teacher retirees, but also the creation of a new enhanced or senior COLA benefit, as we have dubbed it, for long-term retirees. Now, both of these initiatives have been stalled in recent years due to the very high cost of increasing these benefits. And while we have made great strides at the local level, and I have to give all the credit in the world, particularly for the current fiscal year, for FY25, we have 20 municipal retirement systems that have increased the COLA base at the local level and sharing the success of the investment returns with local retirees. And it's our hope that this special commission on the COLA will help facilitate that same type of sharing of the success at the state level. And this is going to be absolutely critical. As we have explained in the past, the COLA Commission is modeled on a very successful commission that was created and implemented back in 1996. That led to the landmark COLA reform law in 1997. And ever since that date, virtually every public retiree in Massachusetts has received a regular and reoccurring COLA each and every year, which is, of course, cumulative. It becomes a permanent part of your pension. And we view this new commission, a quarter of a century later, as the next logical step forward in charting a path forward. So that's big news number one, but it gets better from there. Issue number two, of course, is the basic life insurance benefit for state retirees and active state employees. The current $5,000 benefit has been in place now since 1985. It's been 39 years since that benefit has been increased, and I'm thrilled to report that the provision that was included in the House budget that was initiated in the House of Representatives has been agreed to by the state Senate. The basic life insurance benefit for state and teacher retirees will increase from the current $5,000 to a new benefit level of $10,000 effective on July 1st of 2025. Now, unfortunately, we're forced to have to wait a full fiscal year for this new benefit to take effect. And while we would very much like to see it take effect immediately for all retirees, all state employees as well, there's a logical reason why that just can't happen overnight. Between the current contract with MetLife, as well as the administrative changes that the GIC needs to make internally, both in terms of withholdings, changing their computer systems. Unfortunately, it's not something that is simple as just snapping your fingers and it happens. There's a process that has to be followed. That's going to take some time. The legislature chose to increase the benefit but delay the implementation for a year to allow these administrative and contractual changes to take place. And again, as much as we would like to see those changes take effect immediately for everybody, they're going to have to wait until July 1st of 2025. Now, the good news is that after more than a decade of us advocating for these changes, they're finally getting done. The statute will be updated and it will be implemented on that implementation date, which is a really big deal. Now, for those of you who are a local retiree or a retired teacher, your life insurance benefits are set by the city or town or school district from which you retired. So even if you are a municipal retiree or retired teacher receiving your health insurance benefits through the GIC, your life insurance benefits still come from that local entity. That's who determines the benefit level. There is no further legislation required or necessary for local cities and towns and districts to do the right thing for their retirees and increase the benefit. Now, in a similar fashion to what apparently took place back in 1985, and I was in high school in 1985, so I wasn't part of this process, but from what I understand, the last time the state increased the benefit from the $2,000 benefit up to a $5,000 benefit in '85, many cities and towns saw that as a catalyst for them to do the same thing for their local retirees. And it's our hope and our belief that that same type of dynamic will take place this time around. And we'll be working closely with our local members, with our public employee committee representatives across the Commonwealth to help get that implemented at the local level. But there is no limit locally of what that life insurance benefit can be. As a matter of fact, just to give a couple of examples, the town of Braintree and the town of Barnstable down on the Cape both have $10,000 benefits that have now been in place for the better part of the last 10 years or so. So they've been ahead of the curve in terms of what state policy has been. But these two items were initiated by our association. With the COLA Commission specifically, we went to Governor Healy almost a year ago and explained the need for a COLA Commission, what we hoped to gain from it. We got her to agree. She included it in her official version of the budget that was filed back in January. The House agreed to support that provision as well. And we have to give all of the thanks in the world to House Speaker Ron Mariano, House Majority Leader Mike Moran, and of course House Ways and Means Chairman Aaron Mikowitz. Specifically when it comes to the COLA Commission, they chose to include that language in the House Ways and Means budget proposal itself, which was a strong show of support from the House leadership of just how important this issue is to everyone to find a way forward, to find a way to better approach the COLA, to fund the COLA, and to do so within the confines of the pension funding schedules. Now, the challenge has never been convincing our elected leaders of the necessity of a COLA. Everybody knows about the pressure that's been placed upon retirees who are living on fixed incomes, of course, and I've really struggled to deal with the sharp rise in inflation since the pandemic. Now, thankfully, inflation has come down a little bit. We're looking year over year roughly at a 3% CPI through June. All indications are that the CPI for the next calendar year that would be applied to Social Security and applied to public pensions will be most likely somewhere around 3%, maybe even a little bit lower than 3%. But that does not escape the fact that prices on virtually everything have gone up dramatically in recent years, and we need to find a way to improve the COLA benefits across the board to address those challenges. But as I said, the difficulty has been paying for those new benefits in the context of the pension funding schedules, and we have come a very long way. The most recent edition of The Voice, right on the front page, we talk about the top 20 retirement systems in Massachusetts that are all over 90% funded, with a growing number either at or close to full funding. We wholeheartedly believe that that success must be shared with the beneficiaries, shared with all of you as the retirees. That's your money. You paid into the system. The government paid into the system of its share of your retirement benefit. Together, those funds were invested, and those investment returns have done extremely well. So we are now at a time when we need to find a better path forward. On the life insurance side, we once again need to give special recognition and thanks to State Representative John Lawn. Representative Lawn has long been the sponsor of our legislation increasing the basic life insurance benefit. Not only did he file that amendment to the House budget back in April, but he made it a personal priority to shepherd that amendment through the House. Got buy-in from his colleagues. It was a bipartisan approach to this. House Republican leader Brad Jones, Matt Muratori, Todd Smola, key Republicans in the House of Representatives not only signed on as co-sponsors, but let it be known to the House leadership that this is something that they supported. This is something they thought was well overdue. And Speaker Mariano and Chair Michaelwitz and Leader Moran and the rest of the House leadership embraced that and allowed it to be added to the budget as an amendment. Now, why that is significant, beyond the fact that it's a policy change, it also adds nearly $10 million a year to the Commonwealth's budget. And out of a $58 billion budget, $10 million might seem like a drop in the bucket, but at the end of the day, $10 million is still $10 million. So we are very fortunate, very thankful to our supporters in the House for initiating this and getting it through. Now, while the state Senate chose not to take up the COLA Commission nor the basic life insurance in their version of the budget that was passed in May, the Senate leadership did support both of these items in conference. And we need to give specific thanks to Senate Ways and Means Chair Mike Rodrigues, Vice Chair Cindy Friedman, and the ranking Republican on the Senate Ways and Means Committee, State Senator Pat O'Connor. All of them have been long-term friends and supporters of public retirees and supported these two initiatives within the budget. And we are where we are today because of the collective support of the legislative leadership. Now, in addition to these two items, the 3% COLA for state and teacher retirees is also contained in the budget. That COLA benefit is based on a $13,000 base. Again, the focus on the state and teacher base is part of the special commission. That's why it's necessary. So for FY25, it is on a $13,000 base. It's our hope that for FY26, we will have a new COLA, new and improved COLA base and perhaps other provisions in place at that time, that next year we'll see a far greater benefit. In addition to the 3% COLA, there are also a couple of other very important provisions that were included in the budget that will have a direct impact on public retirees. The first is the creation of a task force that is set to examine and make recommendations to improve or reform the post-retirement work laws and regulations here in Massachusetts. Now, by post-retirement work, of course, I mean public retirees who have returned to public service on a part-time basis. This has been a little bit controversial in recent months due to a report from the Inspector General. We believe that the report was much to do about nothing. However, there's always room for improvement. We believe that some of the confusion and convoluted nature of the current post-retirement work rules can be improved. We frequently will get phone calls, outreach from members who are intent on following the rules, following the law, don't want to make any mistakes, but are very confused by the current process, and that's something that can be improved upon. And just like the COLA Commission, our association will have a seat at the table as part of the Post-Retirement Work Task Force. In addition, there's also language that initiated in the state Senate making changes to the return to work process for disability retirees. Language was inserted in the Senate budget, and it survived in the conference report, that would allow disability retirees, if they choose to initiate a process where they can be re-examined, found fit to return to active work, but not necessarily in the same position from which they retired. Now, an example might be someone retiring in one position, going back to school or learning a trade or becoming interested in going into a different profession, a different job. The current retirement law does not allow for that to happen. You can return to work in the old job or position that you once held, but a firefighter or a police officer couldn't become a teacher and vice versa. This change in the retirement law would allow for those types of job placement going forward to happen. Now, just like the task force, we will be providing in-depth, detailed information in the weeks ahead on both of these issues, and particularly on the return to work language. It's really too much to explain today. But the important thing is that no one's being forced to do anything. This, again, would be entirely initiated by the retiree themselves, and there's no guarantee in the law that the new employer would have to accept that person. So there's a process that would need to be followed, and again, we will be reporting in greater detail on that in the weeks ahead. Now, finally, two more very important pieces of note when it comes to the budget. The state and teacher retirement systems have been fully funded once again within the budget. The state appropriation for FY25 to the state and teacher systems is $4.5 billion. And that number increases year over year. I believe for FY26, the next scheduled appropriation will be close to $5 billion for FY26. When it comes to the State Group Insurance Commission, the GIC, their line item has also been fully funded to the tune of $2.1 billion. So between the state teachers systems and the GIC, the total appropriation for those entities comes in at $6.6 billion out of a $58 billion budget. So it's quite a large portion of the state budget is being spent on benefits that are important to all of us. So we are extremely pleased, happy, thankful for the legislative leadership of supporting these measures. It is going to provide a great improvement for our members. We have a lot of work ahead of us. We're just at the very beginning stages of the COLA Commission and the task force. We anticipate that both of those entities will get up and running probably late summer, early fall, and we'll be providing continued updates on the progress being made to all of you in the weeks and months ahead. Thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy this beautiful weather. The forecast here in Massachusetts calls for probably one of the best weekends of the entire summer. So I hope all of you enjoy. I know I am. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.